Welcome to I Have Questions with Michael Ruhland. Have you ever asked a question? Have you ever been in a classroom, been curious, or ever wanted to teach and learn? Then you're in the right place, because I have questions. Hi, I'm Mike Ruhland. I've been a business owner, a soldier, an educator, a husband, a father. I am full of ADHD and am experiencing the negative effects of long COVID. But I've spent the last 2 decades working in the public school system as a teacher, coach, mentor, and administrator. I'm very passionate about being curious, about being educated, and most importantly, about having questions. Join me on my journey as I share stories, talk to some fun and inspiring people, gain insights to being a better teacher, a better student, and maybe even a better human. I hope you're ready, because I have questions. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Actually, I'm glad I'm here as well. Hey, shout out to all of you for taking some time out of your life to spend with me. I'm eternally grateful. Today's topic. Well, today I'm going to talk about the equation from self-efficacy. I bet you thought I was going to say something else, but it's self-efficacy. Number one, if I can say it, it must be a thing. Number two, I don't think self-efficacy is titled correctly, as I think it should be really community efficacy. But first, what is self-efficacy? Well, it's really the belief we have in our own abilities to be successful at something. Think about it. Self-efficacy is really a major deciding factor in our behaviors because it drives our choices and how we approach things, life, and probably most importantly, our resilience. Today's guest is someone that will get into the weeds on self-efficacy, and with any luck, we can goad him into bringing out his crazy equation about it. Our goal is to not zone out. What? I'm up. I'm ready. I'm ready. Are you ready? Well, let's go, because I have questions. I think that as a true blood ADHDer, I've always had a strong sense of false self-efficacy. In fact, in some people with ADHD, a false sense of self-efficacy actually has a name, and it's called positive illusionary bias. For some, this is a coping mechanism to protect for past failures or a way to overcome personal struggles and even neurological issues with that person's executive functions in things like time blindness and overcommitments. Now, I'm not saying I might have those things going on. Probably need to say I also might have those things going on. Anyway, in my opinion, one of the most important components of self-efficacy is that of greater resilience and better emotional regulation. How many times have you sat by someone and said, "You can do this"? Why do you have more belief in them than they do in themselves? That's such a tough one to understand, but it is one of the main pillars of efficacy is actual verbal persuasion. And that is where we all come into this picture. And this is where the idea of self efficacy, I believe, is mislabeled. We can have a huge hand in someone feeling able to accomplish something, thus improving their self efficacy. In fact, I think I spent most of my time as a teacher and a coach and an administrator convincing students and peers and other teachers that they had the ability and tools to do something. That's where we all come into play in this self efficacy and make it a community efficacy. So let's get to it. All right, let's get this going. So, my guest today, He's a principal at a middle school in Central Washington. A friend of mine and I like to call it far western North Dakota, actually. He's been a teacher and a coach, a district director, all things CTE, and an administrator for 13 years now. I first met Scott right before COVID, and he was way smarter than me and very driven. Yet somehow we meshed. I think it was kind of an oil and vinegar thing. Scott Scott loves to write on whiteboards, connect dots, draw lines between things, and make a point. I think I sort of lose track at the drawing lines part, but for us ADHDers, it's a stimulus supermarket. I am so pleased to have him talk with me today. Let me introduce the giggler, Scott Petersen.
Thanks.
Scotty, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mike?
Awesome. I am all right. It was a long health weekend for me, but I'm up and at 'em today, so ready to rock and roll. So, all right, Scott, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Good, because I have questions. So, since meeting Scott, I have never seen him be anything other than supportive to people. I really think it's truly one of his strongest traits. And because of this, people around him do become stronger as he strengthens their self efficacy. And really, what more can a person ask for in life but to be the giver of strength to others? So, Scott, with that in mind, and this is a tough starting question, I know, but can you pinpoint a time in your life where you openly decided to be this supportive, or has this just always been you? And either way, do you make this a focus of how you interact with people?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Great
That's
job.
why I have a show.
Um, honestly, I think that I can't pinpoint an exact time where it was a decision. I think we are a product of a lot of little mini decisions in life. I will say that as a teenager, sometimes it's hard to find bigger picture of serving some type of greater good. And so I've had a lot of really great coaches, teachers, obviously my parents and family that help put us into situations where we can try to serve others. And a lot of times we find that joy of developing others by serving them. And so I think the biggest change for me actually came when I served a 2-year mission for my church. Um, just every single day you are focused on other people. You're not focused on yourself. Like the biggest decision I made was what color of tie am I going to put on today? But a lot of what you're doing is just how can I see what people need and then meet their needs. And ever since then, when I came home, the types of jobs that I wanted to be involved in, my first job coming home was working with kind of young adults of special needs in a recycling plant, and I would help them do their job. They were so wonderful, so hilarious. We'd giggle all the time, of course, but just seeing how they needed just a little bit of support and how it brightened their day doing what we sometimes take for granted, just being able to work or do a job. So I think a lot of it is just a little bit of a lot of things in life of being able to serve others, and then definitely spending 2 years just focused on other people and what it is they need really help drive home the point that yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to continue to lift people up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, lifting me up was a heavy duty job, but you managed. Good job. With that in mind, then, knowing that, you spent the last baker's dozen years in education, has there been any time in your career where there's a moment that actually stands out where you've been a key player in a student, teacher, peer, parents, even self efficacy um, that you can share with?
Yeah, I think one just happened. You know this, Mike. I mean, you're tooting my horn. You've been in this realm for a long time as well, of being able to see students for who they are and the good that they bring, and be able to pinpoint ways to either give them some encouragement. Sometimes all they need is a little bit of that belief transfer is what when you're talking about self-efficacy. Bandura's theory of self-efficacy is like the belief transfer is huge for me. We had a an interesting opportunity. I mean, me being new to Columbia Middle School here in Moses Lake, our very first school day is to welcome our sixth graders. All day long, we are helping them do anything that remotely relates to just how you come to school from that transition from elementary to middle school. There was a young sixth grader. You could tell she was just panicked, a little bit overwhelmed. Transitions were a lot for her. I mean, we're transitioning so many times during a school day that's way out of the norm from elementary school. Now, instead of going with my class to PE, for example, like we're all in the hallways going everywhere. Just very overwhelmed, having to work a locker. I kind of noticed her about two or three of these transitions into the school day and kind of told myself I need to kind of plant myself. I looked up her schedule. I need to kind of plant myself in different spots and start to create some type of relationship with her to help her feel more at ease. And by the end of the school day, that first day, she was able to, go about her day just fine. Checking in with her throughout that first week, we started to have our routine of high fives and smiles. We're going to have a great day today. Yeah. Or did we have a great day today? Yeah, this was the best day ever. So we've had this kind of rapport at lunchtime, at any different time throughout the school day, all smiles. She had a pass in her hand standing outside the office, and she was just in tears. I go, oh, this is very out of characteristic. We've had great days so far. So kind of asking her, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I have to present in class. And I'm like, okay, this is big for her. This is huge, right? Because you're right. Presenting in front of your
Yeah.
peers is a tough deal. So I got down to her level and we basically had a conversation about her being brave. She is. She's totally brave. The strengths that she brings to a presentation, and talked about the realistic nature of kind of why we present and that she could do it. And it might not be perfect the first time, but that's why we learn. That's how we do this. And she's going to learn from it and do really awesome next time. She wasn't all smiles as we walked back to her class, but it was one of those, you got this and we can do this thing. And man alive, it was hilarious. The other day, came running up, like so excited. And all she said was, I did it. And so big old high five, little side hug. Like I knew you could do it. And how did it feel? It felt just fine. And I go, well, were you perfect? No, that's okay. Cause now I know what I need to do to improve. And she put that in her own words, but it's just awesome. This ability as like champions for kids,
Hmm.
just being able to talk them through big emotions, help them kind of calm their brain down and feel this sense of like bravery or courage to be able to tackle hard things. And it's going to be messy and we're going to struggle through it, but you can totally do this. Like you have all the power in your hands to be able to totally nail this next task, whatever the teacher's asking you to do, whatever it is. So it was so
Yeah.
fun to watch her through that progression.
Yeah. That it always is, isn't it?
Awesome.
It's amazing. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking I asked you for, a specific moment in a story, which, yes or no questions really don't work so well in this format. But I guess as I'm thinking about it, how often do you think people help with creating some self-efficacy for other people, without us even knowing it? Like, is it, especially as I think teachers and, people who kind of go to that side of the spectrum of helping people. Like, how many times a day do you think you help somebody with their efficacy without even really knowing it?
Man, I think it's probably countless and more than we would probably realize. And that's probably why we we tend to talk about that empathy piece of like you really don't know what somebody else is going through. So if
Mhm.
you can just have positive moments with people, 9 times out of 10, that's gonna then have a ripple effect in other moments of their life. Excuse me. But I think part of part of like self-efficacy is like an emotional response to stimulus, right? Is our ability to react to something. And the other part is it's like having self-efficacy is something that you develop for one, and it's more than just confidence. Like I could be confident that I'm going to suck at something.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
yep,
But self-efficacy is being able to see yourself be successful and then doing what you need to do to accomplish it. So that's where we start talking about like perseverance, grit, and struggle. And we tend to have these big emotions when it comes to that. And so anytime that we are able to help somebody lighten some of that load with even a smile, a high five, hey, how are you doing? More than just the, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But it's that, no, how are you really doing? Um, really getting into that, making connections with people. I think we probably don't realize the type of effect we have on others until after the fact in a lot of ways.
yeah. Well, I won't lie. I asked that question as a setup because
You set me up.
it's it's what I do. Earlier in the show, I kinda introduced this, and I think self-efficacy is incorrectly labeled. I kinda think it should be community efficacy
Mm,
because it really does take a community for all of us, even those of us who think we got it figured out, right? We need a community. So, kinda with that in mind, I wanna ask if in your career or even as a student, is there somebody or some time that has kind of stood out to you where they made kind of that quiet, big difference in your self-esteem?
yeah, I see where you're going with that because part of efficacy in general, like we even talk about in education, if we know John Hattie and his work, this idea of collective efficacy,
I've heard of him. I
right?
don't yeah.
Yeah, but it's that idea of like I think when we bring it's that synergistic way of approaching things, of tackling things as a team. Um, Man, there are so many people. I don't know who to even single out. I think part of me, we'll put it in kind of my administrator realm of who has helped me at who I am today. Again, I've had a lot of mentors, but my first real assistant principal job was with a dude named Cliff Freeze. And Cliff, him and I are a lot alike. So for you, it's probably scary. But in other ways, like he has the ability to see through things for what they are, not get bogged down by some of the stuff that would normally drag you down or get you stuck in the mud, and be able to talk you through something all the while lifting you up. And so, being a first time assistant principal, you have a lot of things you're trying to calibrate, whether it's evaluating new teachers or teachers in general. All of a sudden, now you've got to evaluate people who have been in the profession way longer than you have, student discipline, dealing with parents that are struggling with something. I don't like to call parents difficult anymore. I think it's just parents advocating for something, right? It's just one of those things where you've got so many different things that you have to handle throughout your day is you have to be in so many different mindsets and be able to shift and be flexible. He gave me the ability to kind of be myself, give myself some grace, talk through things without feel like I'm being under a microscope. Really, that coach that doesn't really judge you for not being perfect, but is helping you develop that idea of like the end result really isn't needing to be perfect either, but it's how do I can just be a little bit better every day. And that's been somebody through that coaching lens has been awesome for
Cool. So, I used to go with how can I not suck as bad as yesterday?
me. That
Is
works.
that the same?
Sure. That's a great growth mindset there, Mike.
I thought so. That's how I specialize.
Totally.
All right. Sorry, I diverge. Oh,
Okay.
wait,
Okay.
that's what I do.
Okay.
Uh, all right. So I try to keep this kind of short and sweet so people don't get too bored with me, of course. But I want to keep going with you quick here. Do you think, kind of with all of this in mind, right? I think there are people who are and I probably am wrong at this, but I think there's people who are more like willing to have someone push them in to be a little more strong, a little more um in their self-efficacy world and people who aren't. But Do you think people can actually strengthen their self-efficacy over time, or do they just kinda constantly need somebody there to, again, use that term I coined, which nobody will ever coin again, of community efficacy?
That's a very interesting question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think it takes a little bit of both. So if we look at, let's go back to theory for just a second. If you'll indulge me, I wish I had a whiteboard for you.
I'm so glad you don't.
Yeah, because you would be amazed.
I'm
No, so I
sure.
think if we do something that's super easy, right? So if we take and this, I love math because it helps me make sense of really simple and it very like complex ideas in a very simple way. Do you remember as a math teacher? I know you'd like this one.
Very little.
Very little. Okay. Slope intercept form.
I've heard of it,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a pretty easy equation, right? It's basically slope of a line. That's really all we're doing. Like, are we progressing forwards, upwards, downwards, whatever it is? We're going to focus on the positive because let's focus on the positive.
Let's do that.
Within that, though, like for me, that slope intercept that B is let's just take this day by day. Is whatever I'm bringing with me that day. Who am I? Where have all my life experiences led me to be? And how am I? How do I approach whatever it is, whatever task? Doesn't matter. Really, all that X is my effort. So predominantly, if I'm putting in good effort for today, I'm moving in some type of positive direction. The multiplier, though, that slope is my attitude. How am I approaching it? Right. And so you are the owner of your own attitude. We kind of talk to, to kids or adults about, you're basically reacting to all the other stimulus going around you. And sometimes it's harder than other times. But really, if I just come approach my day with who I am and being okay, like being comfortable with who I am, and that the added measure is what am I putting in today and how am I approaching my day? So effort and attitude. I have some type of why, right? Hopefully it's positive. And so the thing I have with athletes is they get so into, well, if I'm doing these things, I should have these results on the court. Or if I'm doing these things, I should have these results in the classroom. If I'm doing these things, I should be getting A's on all my stuff. What you're really working towards is potential outcomes, right? And so once you put each day, each of these potential outcomes, like we're hoping that we're trending somewhere positive, right? And that to me is like that's the work you're putting in each and every day to develop skills, right? And so if we put developing skills inside of Bendera's self-efficacy, those mastery experiences and those like vicarious or observational experiences, like we're putting in work. And that's building up our ability to see ourselves be successful. If you start talking and pull the attitude out a little bit of that little slope intercept form equation, the multiplier in self-efficacy is your ability, like your emotional intelligence, how you react to things. So not only are you building up all these skills, but you're building up the skill of how do you emotionally react because that's going to be a multiplier. It's not an addition. It's a multiplier. That thing is going to make it soar. The additive is that belief transfer. That additive piece is it can only get better if there's positive outside support. The reason why it could be additive too, because you could add negative impacts. And so that's what's hard on self-efficacy or efficacy in general. And you see this a lot in kids, right? So you've got your idea of community efficacy. Well, we see kids that have, and it pains me to say it, not a whole lot of support at home or not a whole lot of support. Sometimes as adults, we make adult problems become kid problems and we might have a negative impact on whatever it is they're doing. So yes, like we need each other. And at the same time, it's like there are certain things we need to stop doing to each other because we could be potentially having a negative impact on them working on their own skills and their emotional responses to things. How are we contributing to that? And so even with student discipline, you've done a few of these in your day where
Quite a
you
few.
take the time, like, yeah, we made a choice and there's a consequence to it. And it's just there it is. But how often then do we take even a little bit more time and really hone in on what discipline truly means? It means developing better habits. So even
Sure.
just with student discipline, you're helping build a student's efficacy or self-efficacy. And then the more you go on a proactive approach, like right now, we're focusing a lot on our advisory time of what can we do to help not only improve ourselves but improve others. That's our now our, like you said, our community efficacy. Like we need each other. We could do it on our own. We could. It's fine. But how much more of an impact is it when we build one another up rather than tear one another down?
Yeah.
And it's not competitive. Why do we? It's this idea of a culture of winners and losers, right? If you're up here, that means I'm not, right? And that why are we
Yeah.
comparing our own journeys to each other? As soon as we get out of that lens of being like, hey, you're rocking it right now, and I can rock it too. It just like we don't have to compare ourselves to be the same.
Yeah.
That's what's hard in this kind of social competitive atmosphere, you know?
Yeah. Wow. You know what? I'm thankful you did not have a whiteboard. I kind of wished our viewers could have seen you on a whiteboard. So, um, since my show has the budget of 0 and, me, I'm gonna see though if I can somehow get the slope intercept form on a whiteboard, somehow posted in our talk here for you.
Sweet.
How's that? All right. All right, my friend. So, your turn. As we wrap this bad boy up, either, what if I missed in our short time together? And it is a short time, but, you know, I don't wanna bore too many people with my voice. What if I missed, or do you have a question for me? And make it easy, if it is.
Oh, do I have a question for you?
No, let's go with what you've missed.
What or what we've missed in this conversation?
Yeah, that way I don't have to answer anything.
Oh, okay. Uh, I don't think much. I think Mike is one of those people. So if you're new to this show, right? If you're new to this program and new to Mike, what you don't, what you see right now is what you get. A happy, like look at his shirt, reading rainbow shirt. I mean, come on. What you're missing is,
That he doesn't read.
no, you totally read. I think what is missed is just the background on who you are and how you approach life. So this is the type of impact that I've had with Mike. We didn't know each other super well when I was AP at Tolt and you were the AP at Cedar Crest. I mean, we all knew of each other, right? But you don't work in the trenches with each other every day. So a blessing in my life was to be able to go up to Cedar Crest with you, Ray, Jason, and the whole crew, because you get to learn even more from who they are as people. And the way that you approach life and the way that you approach people is always about seeing them for who they are and celebrating that. Because I think there's a difference between seeing somebody for who they are and being willing to like celebrate it or even hold that to a very high standard of respect. And so I think with this type of conversation, you were talking about efficacy and even you kind of this idea of community efficacy. If people don't know you by now, they should know Mike as a very big contributor to that love, that empathy, for that support. I think if you were to survey any number of parents, of former students, of uh, both current and former colleagues, they would all say the same. Mike is love. Mike is empathy. Mike is the man. I mean, it's just that thing about Mike. And so what's fun about this type of conversation is we get to talk about things that bring us joy. And really it is all about helping people see their strength and being able to use that strength to make positive impact on their life for themselves now.
Yep,
Right. And so you've
yep,
had all these conversations where kids and adults, right, are having a hard time making, let's just say, like positive decisions, and they're kind of even just fence sitters, but helping them see their own worth and help them see their own strength to be able to now for themselves make those decisions and move forward in life because you have been that coach. And so I think that's been a remarkable thing to witness of you and then us like feeding off one another because I think that's what resonated between our spirits, honestly, is just our ability to connect with people. And so, I mean, love you, bro. I mean, it's been amazing journey to know you.
you're a good man, Charlie Brown. I'm gonna have to change that, last question somehow to get away from me, though.
Nope. Sorry. That's what we missed.
It's too much? All right. So, Mr. Peterson, it goes too fast. I love doing these little interviews, but they really do go too fast. But I'm so glad, you and I have had the chance to work together and become friends or friendly anyway. I don't know. Your 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 attitude towards life and work have helped me take inventory of my view of helping others. And so, best of luck at your new school. Hi to
Thank you.
Brit and the kiddos who are growing too fast. And thank you for everything you continue to do for those around you.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. So, everybody, I often think the best way for me to describe or think about self-efficacy, other than being able to say the stupid word, is by being a coach, you know? And Scott's been a coach. I know lots of coaches, and the best coaches are the ones who are really there to provide opportunities for others' success. They help set goals that are attainable and then share those success stories for you. A great coach is there to teach and empower you to use your strengths and that you may not even know you have to achieve something. So, every one of us can do that for someone else, and we should. So,
Amen.
Scott Peterson, thank you again. You rock.
You too, buddy.
All right. That was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was good for you. All right, time for my weekly long COVID update. So I thought this week I would pull back the curtain a little bit. I find myself wanting to be an advocate for chronic illness and long COVID, but I also find it hard to share uh, personal stuff. But this week I'm going to try to step out just a little more. Most of you know, many of you know, long COVID. It's now year 3 plus for me, and over that time, I have had to quit working. I can't really do much of anything. In fact, recently I went up for my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, mom. Way late. It's like a month ago, but so good. Went up for my mom's birthday and I hadn't rested very well the couple days before, and we got up there and I didn't feel good at all and basically spent the whole dinner in the car sleeping. And then have spent another 2 days afterwards in bed. And so it's a tough one, huh? Pretty tough. And so also doing these podcasts, believe it or not, I know I make it look really easy. That's my goal. But basically, I have to break them up into chunks. I can do maybe 20, 30 minutes at a pop. And usually one of these sessions takes about a week total to actually get the basis down. So I do part and then I have to put my brain away for a while. But other than that, it's all good. And so we just keep soldiering on. Anyway, thanks for listening ramble on about long COVID and chronic illness, but it's a thing and it's important. So appreciate you all. Thank you. All right. So get to something useful. All right. From the new teacher email line. This one is actually from Todd S. Todd says, as I stand in front of the kids, I worry about making mistakes. I feel like I am almost in a low state of fear. Is this normal? Todd, that's a great question. It is brutal to stand in front of 30 or so kids or 30 or so anybody, right? And especially kids. And I know that most people think that the kids are thinking that you're the master of that material and you should know it all. And you're the trusted adult. And, trusted adults never make mistakes. But I have taught a couple things before where I was barely 1 page ahead of the kids. Well, I have some friends, you know who you are, who might point out that Every class I taught, I was basically one page ahead, but they're just meanies, so I don't listen to them. Anyway, kids need to see that you are human, Todd, and making mistakes and not knowing everything is normal. They need to see that you are humble and easily can give yourself grace when you don't know something, and that it is important to be courageous and take chances and make mistakes. So, Todd, take a breath, be human, and don't fear mistakes because you know what? It's true. They really are more important than the right answers. Todd, thanks for that question. I hope it helped. All right. Hey, please touch base with me whether you have questions, concerns, helpful hints to make this thing better, helpful hints to make it hopefully not worse. Hard to get much further there. But contact me, huh? Email me at ihavequestions2025 at gmail.com. You know the routine by now. That is I have questions at 2025 at gmail.com. I appreciate your time with me and your time with giving me information. If you like what I do, keep giving me another try next week. If you really like what I do, please share me with friends and maybe not friends. And if you don't like what I do, let me know so I can maybe try to change it. Okay. All right. Have a great week. Hey, don't forget, P.S. So I was reading a book by Eric Larson. It's called Isaac Storm. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's about a hurricane that hit Galveston, Texas in 1900. It was a doozy. Like, holy crap. But the thing about the book that I found really fascinating is how the world and specifically the United States had to work through getting a weather forecasting service together. You know, we don't think about it. It's really remarkable to stop and think that just over a century ago, people only really knew what the weather was as it was happening. There was no forecasting other than the old farmers and wives' tales. I remember growing up, my grandma used to comment on the weather forecasting by watching a myriad of things. Dew on a water pitcher, flies being weird or something. I don't know what they did. Cows' behaviors. My favorite saying she had was sunshine, rain today, rain tomorrow. Anyway, have you heard of any wives' tales? I bet you have. We all have. But that then brings me to the book, hanging on a nail in the barn every year, called The Old Farmer's Almanac. They actually drilled a hole in it so that farmers could hang it on a nail, believe it or not. It's been around since, I had to look this up, 1792. Although it didn't really become the Old Farmer's Almanac for about another 50 years or so when the name changed. I guess that makes any of you over 50 old. Part of the reason old was added to the title is that almanacs were big business in the 17 and 1800s. And by 1832, this was one of the few survivors. So the editors added the word old. Anyway, enough of that. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln actually used the Old Farmer's Almanac during a trial to clear one of his clients of murder? He used information in the almanac to refute the testimony of an eyewitness, and it was allowed in court. Good job, Abe. Remember, the almanac says that a rumor without a leg to stand on will get around some other way. Peace and love are. This has been a production of SMEB LC Enterprises. Please give us a thumbs up, share us with others, and come back next week for another leg of our journey. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time and energy with us today. This is also a great time to reach out to someone in your life and just ask them, how are you doing? Don't wait until next week. And remember, it is always powerful to say, I have questions.